Justin Timberlake's high-powered attorney put out a statement unequivocally denying that Timberlake was intoxicated when he was pulled over for a suspected DWI last month. And here's exactly how he put it. This was the statement. The most important fact to know about this case is that Justin was not intoxicated and should not have been arrested for DWI. His attorney also points to what he calls a number of significant errors made by the police and says the charge should be tossed. Now, the prosecutor, however, has brushed those errors off as simply clerical. Now, this is the new interesting part. There's new reporting by TMZ that suggests possibly more serious errors could have been made by the arresting officers. TMZ says an unidentified woman whom Timberlake was drinking with that night in Sag Harbor was allowed to drive the star's rental car back to her house, despite the fact that she was also reportedly and obviously drunk. Timberlake's lawyer is reportedly set to argue that allowing her to drive shows a flagrant lack of judgment on the part of the two young arresting officers. So could Timberlake actually beat this rap? Now they've got this woman who was apparently also drunk. That's going to be interesting to see how it pans out. Also, TMZ has some new hot reporting on another story that we've been covering extensively. If you didn't catch it then, Sean Diddy Combs has been implicated 77 times in court docs by Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, the man accused of orchestrating the murder of Tupac Shakur back in 1996. Now, Davis says Combs put out $1 million hit on Tupac, or at least tried to, and apparently Tupac's family is listening because they have now reportedly brought on two high-powered attorneys and even a team of investigators that are looking deeper into this new claim. Police say Combs is not and never was a suspect in Tupac's killing, but who knows what's happening behind the scenes with the investigation on that one. To help us understand what all this means, the P. Diddy stuff, the Timberlake stuff, I'm joined now by Neama Rahmani. He is president of West Coast Trial Lawyers and a former federal prosecutor. Thank you for being with us, Neama. First of all, what do you make of this Timberlake situation? So they've now revealed that there was a woman who came and drove the car back after Timberlake got arrested and that she was drunk too. I mean, how does that really play into what he's accused of, though?
Brian, I understand the argument, but the former prosecutor in me says a judge is not going to let it in. Someone else being drunk or under the influence or intoxicated doesn't really have any bearing on whether Timberlake was. And Timberlake blew a stop sign, he swerved twice, he emitted an odor of alcohol, he had bloodshot water in his eyes, and most importantly, he failed multiple field sobriety tests before refusing a breathalyzer. So if law enforcement botched the case or someone else was obviously drunk, I don't think a judge is going to let a collateral case, an entirely different trial, come into this case because of how officers handled this woman.
And how would they go back, Neama, and even figure out at this point, like, if she actually was drunk? Isn't it too late now?
It is. And let's not forget, she was ahead of Timberlake. She circled back around. Her husband was driving. Apparently, she got out of the car and she was talking to police officers and saying, are you really going to arrest Justin Timberlake? So at a minimum, they were able to evaluate her speech, her demeanor, her stature, and they determined that she was not under the influence, at least based on that cursory inspection. Whereas Timberlake, of course, went through the full battery of tests.
So putting her aside, do you think Timberlake ends up getting off? Because his lawyer seems so confident. There's never been like a statement with an apology admitting anything. They seem pretty confident that they're going to win this. What do you think?
Well, defense lawyers can be confident, and ultimately it's going to be up to a jury, but I like the prosecution's case here. Obviously, you would prefer to have a chemical test, so you have that blood alcohol content. But I think the totality of the circumstances, the driving pattern, the demeanor, and importantly, those field sobriety tests, they're going to have an expert come and talk about how that affects driving, how it shows someone's impaired or intoxicated. I put my money on the prosecution in this case, Brian.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Okay, on to Tupac's family. This isn't the first time Keefe D has alluded to Diddy's involvement. Why do you think now all of that? And it's the first time I've really heard about it. I thought it was fascinating, but why now hire the high-power lawyers and the investigators? What do you think significant is going on behind the scenes now?
Well, I think Tupac's family, justifiably so, they have some doubts about this investigation. Let's not forget, it's been 28 years almost since Tupac was murdered, and Keefe Davis has confessed to his role in the murder for quite some time. So for law enforcement to finally arrest someone and prosecutors to bring charges. If I'm the family's attorney, not to say I don't respect what they're doing, but we know that law enforcement, they have limited resources. This is a high profile case. I would do everything I can to help them find additional witnesses or individuals who are willing to come forward and put Davis away. So I understand what they're doing here.
All right, 2 high-profile cases we'll keep following. Neama Rahmani, thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate you staying up late with us tonight.
Thanks, Brian. See you soon.
Okay, Olympic athletes are the cream of the crop, training day and night to be the best